Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's daily study call. We're going to be going into chapter 3 in our study of Your Invisible Power by Genevieve Behrend. The last chapter, chapter 2, we talked a little bit more about the visualization, had a story about the businessman and his success with visualization. And so we'll just jump right in here to chapter 3, relation between mental and physical form. Some persons feel it is not quite proper to visualize for things. It's too material, they say. But material form is necessary for the self-recognition of spirit from the individual standpoint. And this is the means through which the creative process is carried forward. Therefore, far from matter being an illusion and something that ought not to be, as some metaphysical teachers have taught, matter is a necessary channel for the self-differentiation of spirit. However, it is not my desire to lead you into lengthy and tiresome scientific reasoning in order to remove the mystery of visualization and to put it upon a logical foundation. Naturally, each individual will do this in his own way. My only wish is to point out to you the smoothest way I know, which is the road on which Troward guides me. I feel sure you will conclude as I have, that the only mystery in connection with visualizing is the mystery of life taking form, governed by unchangeable and easily understood laws. Now, she touches on some really good points here. I want to go through a few of them. The first is that people say that visualization is too material. I know when you talk about a lot of manifestation, oftentimes the idea of money comes up. And a lot of people think, that's too materialistic. It's too, it's not spiritual. Some of those kinds of things can come up. And I'm going to go reference a little bit from a book called The Science of Getting Rich, because I think in The Science of Getting Rich, the author Wallace Wattles does a good job of explaining a lot of what it means to be wealthy, and not it be in a materialistic way, because he uses the idea that we are spiritual beings and we're here in this material world, this physical world, having a physical experience. But as we're having this physical experience, the only way that we can learn, the only way that we can grow is by interacting with the physical world around us. If you want to learn how to play an instrument, you have to be able to have a physical instrument. If you want to study, you have to have the books, materials, maybe even teachers' classes to go to be able to learn those things. And even to have the normal operations of life, you need to have food to keep your body going. And you also need times, if you're always working and you never have any opportunity for free time, then you don't have any opportunities to learn, and life just is, one constant struggle. And so the idea that Wallace Wattles brings out is that it's actually for your development, it's for your betterment that you become wealthy, so that you can have the means to go and travel, to learn, to grow, to buy instruments, to learn to play them, to have the time to be able to learn to play them, to buy books, to go to classes, all those different kinds of things. And all of them require money to be able to do it. And so money is there as a means to an end, so to speak. And the end is your own progression, your own evolution in your understanding and your knowledge. Because as far as we know, and at least many religions tell us, the only thing that we take with us when we leave this life is the knowledge that we've gained. So if there is a life after death, a life after this experience, that information that you gain in this life would be valuable if that's the only thing that you take with you. And so if you're living your life where it's a constant struggle, you're in poverty and degradation, how can you possibly progress? How can you possibly learn and grow and develop? It would be very difficult to do so in an environment like that. And so the gaining of wealth through, this manifestation in these processes isn't so that you can hoard and have this mass amount of wealth, this big pile of money sitting in some bank account. No, it's for your own development and betterment, and even uh, to the betterment of others, because as you grow and then you share your life with those around you, you're going to be bettering them as well. It's a natural part of that. If you're progressing, then you're progressing everyone around you. Um, and so that's kind of, I think what she's saying here is that many people think about this idea is things are too material. They're too focused on the physical things of this earth, but that's how we're learning. That's how we're growing in this experience. What would be the purpose of coming to this physical world if not to learn how to use the physical things of it? And she also brought out that many people put down the physical, but I believe that the physical is an important part of our evolutionary process. My own personal belief is that we're going along from existence to existence, and as we go from one to the other, we're adding upon ourselves. And as far as this one, as far as coming to this earth, we've added this physical body. And I don't think that it's something that we are just going to do away with, once we're done here. Now, the physical body that you may have had here on this earth will be laid in the ground, but I believe that at some point we'll get these bodies back, and that we'll be able to gain even greater power because of having the physical body. A lot of people think that this physical body is a hindrance. It's a trap for our souls, for our spirits, and that after we leave this life, we'll be freed. But I really think that these physical bodies are an addition, an evolution of our own processes, and that after this life, we'll probably find that these bodies actually make us better. They don't actually hold us back. Let's see. I think that's really the only 2 points that I wanted to bring out from that. Now, she does say that in this book that she's not going to go into scientific reasoning and providing logical reasoning for it, but I will. In my commentary, I often do share with you scientific advancements. Now, this book was written in, I think it was 1919 or 1920, somewhere around there. And so at that time, or since that time, we've had a lot of scientific advancements that we can rely upon, that we can look at and actually prove some of the principles that these books talk about, and that people like Genevieve Behrend and Thomas Troward bring out. And I did just want to mention, because she mentioned Troward here, that Troward, if you watch some of if you've attended some of her previous study calls, Troward was her mentor. All right, we all possess more power and greater possibilities than we realize. And visualizing is one of the greatest of these powers. It brings other possibilities to our observation. When we pause to think for a moment, we realize that for a cosmos to exist at all, it must be the outcome of a cosmic mind, which binds all individual minds to a certain generic unities of action, thereby producing all things as realities and nothing as illusions. If you will take this thought of Troward's and meditate upon it without prejudice, you will surely realize that concrete material form is an absolute necessity of the creative process. Also, that matter is not an illusion, but a necessary channel through which life differentiates itself. So she's kind of going over this idea and trying to refute that these mortal physical bodies, this mortal physical world, is kind of a de-evolution of the spiritual worlds. And as I mentioned just a moment ago, I don't believe that that's true. Now, we may be living in a state here in this physical world, because we, for whatever reason, don't understand our life before this. We don't understand the life after this, that we might not understand all of the capabilities and understanding all the reasons why. But I believe that there's a purpose in us coming to this existence, not knowing all the where's, why's, and how to's. That it's a, if we came to this earth and we had all the answers, then there would be no growth. There'd be no, understanding. There would be no us becoming more than what we are. And as she's saying here, if we already knew everything, then there would be nothing to experience. And so, as she mentioned in the previous chapter, she likened God unto this unity of spirit, this unity of all things, and that spirit differentiated itself out into the world, into us, that we are a part of God, the spirit, the substance that's behind all things. So because God as a unit, God as a whole, couldn't experience anything outside of itself. And so it split us off into individual parts so that then it could, experience those things. It could experience weakness. It could experience frailty. It could experience growth, overcoming, triumph. Now, I don't always agree with that way of looking at things, but I think that, it's one way of looking at this life, and it's one way of looking at all these things. I like to look at it that we have always been individuals, in the sense that we have this intelligence, this innate part of ourselves that has always existed. And that maybe at some point we may have joined ourselves to something larger than that individual intelligence, and that, maybe now we're separating off from it again. I don't know. I can't really say for sure, but my personal belief is that we've always been some intelligence that has existed separate from everything else. And the other idea that I wanted to go to here, that I'm a little bit on the fence here, because I can understand where she's coming from. So that she says that the material world isn't an illusion, that it's actually there, it exists. I mean, it is, in the sense that we are experiencing it. We are interacting with this physical world. We are having these experiences, and in that sense, it is real. And that's not what she's saying. She's saying that it actually is real, that there is no illusion to it. But I would say that it is, to some degree, an illusion. In modern advances of quantum physics and what they've been able to study and learn about the building blocks of our universe, is that matter, the things that make up everything, in some ways are an illusion. That everything is energy, and that energy collapses into physical form when a mind or a power to comprehend it goes in and dictates, this is what it should be, or this is what I think that it should be, and then that collapses into that form. And so, in a sense, it is an illusion. It's only taking that form because that mind, that intelligence, that power that's coming into it and observing it is telling it, this is what you are. But once that mind leaves, it goes back into the quantum field, as some of them say, as some of these quantum physicists say, that quantum field holds all of possibility, that it isn't anything, it's everything and nothing all at the same time. But it's when an observer, a mind, an intelligence comes in to look at it, that it takes shape and form. And so, yes, in that moment when that mind is observing it, it is something. So I see what she's saying, that it is an illusion in that sense, but it is an illusion in the sense that once the mind's not there, it returns back to its native form. So I think that there's value in looking at those things from those different perspectives and learning. I think that there's things that we can understand and use in our own development and in our own way of using these manifestation processes to have the things show up in our life that we want and that we desire. If you consider matter in its right order as the polar opposite to spirit, you will find any antagonism between you will not find any antagonism between them. On the contrary, together they constitute one harmonious whole. And when you realize this, you feel, in your practice of visualizing, that you are working from cause to effect, from beginning to finish. In reality, your mental picture is the specialized working of the originating spirit. Now, this is something that I think the Taoists understood, and it's something that they had as a cornerstone of some of their practices and teachings. The symbol of the yin and the yang is something that comes from the Taoists, and the idea was that out of a duality, out of a yin and an yang, then all of creation was created. And we see these kinds of dualities in creation all the time. For a child to be born, there has to be a male and a female. It's that same way out in the animal kingdom and in most of the plant kingdom. Now, there are some forms of life that are um, they're not binary, that they are unitary, that there's only one of them and then it propagates itself over and over in kind of a cloning effect, or it's just one large organism like you would have some fungi. But for the most part, most of what we experience as creation here in this physical world is two binaries, two things coming together to create a new separate thing. And so what you have here, I think, with the actually what she's talking about is you have the spirit and the physical as seeming like opposites, just as male and female might seem like opposites. But as you bring them together, then you can create new things. In the yin and the yang, one side represents chaos and the other one side represents order. Well, if you only had order, then nothing new could come about because there wouldn't be any raw material to pull from. And if everything was chaos, then nothing would come about because everything would just be in a haphazard state. And so you need both of those things so that something could come into being. Now, even if you're Christian, this idea is played out in the creation that you find in the Bible, that God took of the chaos, there's matter unformed, and he created a world out of it. Now I know that there are some forms of Christianity that believe that he created it out of nothingness. My own personal belief, I'm a Christian myself, is that there was raw materials from which God created all the things that we experience, and that not only did God take part in that, but we actively take a part in it now as well, that we are creators as well, that we create the world around us, as I was talking about before, that our mind entering into this experience is causing the physical world to actually take shape around us. One could talk for hours on purely scientific lines showing, as Troward says, that raw material for the formation of the solar system is universally distributed throughout all space. Yet investigation shows that while the heavens are studded with millions of suns, there are spaces that show no signs of cosmic activity. This being true, there must be something which started cosmic activity in certain places, while passing over others in which the raw material was equally available. At first thought, one might attribute the development of cosmic energy to the etheric particles themselves. Upon investigation, however, we find this to be mathematically impossible. In a medium which is equally distributed throughout space, For all its particles are in equilibrium, therefore no one particle possesses in itself a greater power of originating motion than the other. So she's setting up a form of thought here. And basically what she's saying is that, this originating substance from which all things come forth from. So this spirit from which all the material world comes out of, it might not be, if all of this spirit has equal power, then why do we see, physical forms here and empty spaces here? If everything had power, then it would all be one continuous whole. And so she's opening up something to go further into, how this was actually created. Thus, we find that the initial movement through working in and through the particles of primary substance is not the particles themselves. And that's kind of what she's reiterating what she just kind of developed in that previous paragraph, of that these particles themselves being of equal power, therefore they wouldn't be able to differentiate themselves and create something different from one another. It is this something we mean when we speak of spirit. The same power that brought universal substance into existence will bring your individual thought or mental picture into physical form. There's no difference of kind in the power. The only difference is a difference of scale. The power and the substance themselves are the same. Only in working out your mental picture, it has transferred its creative energy from the universal to the scale of the particular, and is working in the same unfailing manner from its specific center, your mind. So she's kind of saying that there's an idea. I want to say that this is a Kabbalistic idea, or it might be Hermetic. It might actually be both of them. I'm not 100% sure, but the idea is as above, so below. And so you can look at the different levels, so to speak, of creation. So you can go all the way down to the atom, and from the atom you go up all the way to the universe. And at these different levels, what you'll find is that they mirror the one above it and the one below it. So as above, so below type of an idea. And there's a lot of correlations, but sometimes on each one of these levels, there are differences. There are magnitudes that create different creations. And what she's saying is that this spirit, this mind that is behind everything, that created the building blocks, the spirit into something, created the universe, and that it can also work through you so that you can create your world in the sphere that you occupy. So as you are on the level that you are here in this mortal probation, this mortal experience, you're not going to be able to use this spirit to create a universe. That's not the level that you are on, but you can create the world around you as you see it, as you experience it. And so there are different levels, there are different powers that go along with this creative energy. So this creative energy that's flowing into you is not going to give you the power to change the universe, but it will give you the power to change your own personal experience. All right, that's the end of chapter 3. So we'll end it there for now. I know that there were quite a few different ideas, went into some quantum physics ideas, and some of these ideas can be difficult to comprehend because they are opposing in some ways to what we experience in the physical world around us. So it sometimes can be difficult to wrap our mind around these kinds of things, to look at the physical world around us as an illusion, and that it's only created there because our mind and the minds of all those around us have come in and said, this is so, and then it is. But my own personal study and my own personal experience has said that that is true. That's what my mind and my experiences led me to believe, that this life to some extent is an illusion, that the physical world around us is an illusion. And because it is an illusion, because it is something that's malleable, we can change it. If it was in its fixed form and it was solid and it wasn't malleable, we would be victims, so to speak, of the circumstances around us. We would have no power to change them. But my experience is we do have the power to change them. We do have the power to influence and actually shape and create the world that we desire around us. All right, so with that idea, remember to keep holding in your mind, keep visualizing what it is that you're desiring, have that uplifted emotion so that you can go out and create the wonderful life that you are desiring and looking for. So until tomorrow's morning study, we'll say bye for now.